Just about a month ago, Anthropic released this feature called Claude Skills. I've been using it for the past month and it completely transformed how I get work done in my business, allowing me to automate work that would take me around 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, to get done in just around 5 minutes. So in this video, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown on how to use Claude Skills in your business. First, I'm going to show you the difference between skills, projects, and just using Claude normally. Second, I'll walk you through how to create a skill using the Claude web app, and I'll go over some examples on how you'd want to use Claude Skills. And finally, at the end of the video, I'll show you how you could use Claude Skills within Claude CODE so you can empower agents or use these skills with Claude CODE so you can get more work done autonomously. And by the end of this video, you'll learn exactly how to use Claude Skills so you can regain back more time and use that time to generate more revenue in your business. And no, you do not need to know how to code. You do not need to be technical. You just need to spend the next few minutes paying attention so you can learn how to set this up for yourself. So what is Claude Skills? Think of Claude Skills kind of like giving a playbook to someone else to get work done, but instead to AI. Now within this playbook, you're probably gonna have instructions, maybe some references, examples, standards, guidelines, and so on. So Claude Skills acts like a playbook, but to be more technical, a skill is basically just a folder. It is a folder that has a skill.md file. So a skill.md file is just a markdown file that has all the instructions and configuration on how to do this specific task or workflow. Now, because Claude Skills can act like a playbook, we can treat skills kind of like our playbook library. So when you ask AI to do something and there's a playbook on it that exists, let's say, for example, you ask AI, write a proposal for this client. Okay, what AI is going to do is going to say, which playbook do I need? It's going to look at your playbook library or your skills, and it's going to take that exact playbook, which is called proposals. Okay, then from that playbook, it's going to read through that playbook or the skill file, and then it's going to understand this is how we need to do this task, and then it's going to do the task for you. So this is awesome because instead of needing to copy paste prompts and asking AI to do things step by step, you can have predefined processes or skills in these, what I like to call playbooks, that they could pull out from your library and do multiple tasks whenever required. And you can have as many playbooks or skills as you want. You can have 10, 20, 30 plus playbooks all listed out in your library, and then AI could reference all of these skills whenever required. And the best thing about it is that it will only load what it needs. So if you ask it just write a proposal, it will only reference a proposal playbook. It will not reference everything and it will lose all of its context where you need to start a new chat. It will only reference what's in that folder to get that specific work done. That means it's very token efficient. Now, to be more specific, how the skill anatomy looks like or how the playbook looks like is that it's basically a folder. And within the folder, we have a skill.md file, which is a markdown file. And within the skill.md file, this is going to be the prompt and the instructions. Now, we can also have some more complex folders within our skill folder, which are optional that will allow AI to execute more complex workflows. Let's say you need to run code, you can have a scripts folder. Let's say you have templates that you want AI to reference, you can have a templates folder. Or if you have other references that you want AI to look at, to reference, you can have folders. And you can have as many folders as you want, whatever is required to execute that skill, you can have that in there. But the most important thing here is a skill.md file. It cannot be a skill unless we have a skill.md file that Claude can read through. So if you're just getting started, I recommend starting simple with just a simple skill that just has a simple prompt that you could put into a skill.md file and then test it out. And then you could test out some other complex skills that will have scripts, references, and templates, and so on. So within the skill.md file, it's how Claude identifies whether this skill is relevant to the current task. Because when you have all these skills or playbooks in your library, AI is going to quickly read through all of them. It's not going to read through all the context within the skill. It's going to read through the name and the description, which is the skill.md header. Okay, so it's going to read through the name and the description. Now, what they call this, technically what this part is called the YAML front matter. Technically what it's called, but we don't need to worry about that. You just need to understand that just like how you have a playbook, let's say a librarian, you're going to look for a specific book to do a specific task. What are you going to look for? You can look for the name of the book and what the book does. Same thing with your AI agent. It's going to interact with your skills by quickly reading the name and description so it knows which skill to use. So that's what Claude sees first. Now, once Claude identifies that this skill is required, then it's going to read through the instructions and the prompt, which is stored right below. Okay, so this is again a markdown file I'm going to go over how this looks like in a moment once I explain completely how skills work. So in simple terms, a skill is just a prompt with a header or metadata. And again, the best thing about the skills is that there's automatic routing, so you do not need to tell Claude to do a specific skill. You could ask it if you want to be more specific, but Claude is smart enough where it could read through the skills very quickly and then identify this is the skills that's required. So for example, let's say write an email about our product launch. AI will quickly understand, okay, do I have a skill on that? It will see, okay, there's an email skill. It'll go through the email skill. It'll use the email skill. And then within the email skill, you might have a folder that's called product launch templates or example. So this is great because now you might even have a playbook here, which is called product launch. And then it's able to do a product launch for you. But again, this is very important. The naming of the skills is very important because you don't want the Claude to be confused. So if you have email, then you probably want to have it an email skill. And then within email skill, you can have a product launch workflow within it. So technically you can have skills within skills. It does work because AI could read through it. So, and the way skills load is what makes it efficient. So you simply ask Claude in a chat to do something. And if there's a skill for it, Claude scans the skills, it picks the right skills, it loads the instructions, and then it executes. So it's very efficient. It only loads what it needs and the context stays clean. This is the best thing about skills because the old way, if you wanted to do this, is that let's say you have a skill that has a lot of different parts to it. Let's say you want to write an email. What you do is you probably copy paste the brand guidelines, you copy paste email examples, you copy paste format rules, you copy paste instructions. And if you put all of this into a chat or a context window, you're going to run out of messages very quickly. And then you're going to need to copy paste everything into a new chat. And then it gets very difficult to work. Now, when we use skills, what happens is you get all this free output. So Claude reads a skill and doesn't take any of the tokens or the context or the messages of that chat. So now it's way more efficient. So you can really get work done with skills. So next question is, what should be a skill? So there's two questions. If you answer both of these questions yes, then you should 100% turn it into skill. Question number one, do you do this task repeatedly? And do you want Claude to follow your specific process? If you answered yes to both these questions, then yes, you should make it a skill. Now, the best thing about skills is that anything can be turned into skill. As long as it's a step-by-step process that you want the AI to follow, it can be a skill. So let's say you want to turn email into social posts, that can be a skill. If you want to have an intake form and turn that into proposal, that could be a skill. If you want to turn meeting notes into action items, that could be a skill. If you want to turn specific content that AI have written and you want to apply your brand voice to that, you can also have a skill for that. Anything that has a process, a specific style or way that you do it can be turned into a skill. Now, what should you not use for skills? Let's say you want to ask AI what to prioritize. Probably don't need a skill for that. Unless you have a prioritization style or process that you do think, then you'd have a skill for that. Review my strategy. You want to ask AI to review your strategy. Probably won't need a skill for that unless you have a strategy review process, then you'd have a skill. Problem solving, if you want a novel problem solving, probably won't need a skill unless you have like a problem solving framework. Research, probably won't need a skill for that unless you have like a technique or a way that you do research, then you turn it into skill. Okay, so generally, if the task is repeatable and you want Claude to follow a specific process, framework, or style, then you'd have a skill for it. So there's a lot of confusion between how to use skills, projects, and just using Claude. So to keep things simple, we want to have skills when we want to have AI to act like a trained specialist with a specific process, framework, or style. Simple test, if you do this task repeatedly and you want AI to follow a specific process, skill. Now with projects a little bit different because projects is just going to be a shared knowledge base. So this is going to act like reference context within multiple chats, within multiple chat windows. So this could be brand guidelines, client database, company strategy. This isn't necessarily a skill. This isn't a process. This is shared reference material. So simple test, is this info needed for multiple different tasks? Now, if you just want to use Claude regularly, then you probably want to use it as a smart generalist or exploratory thinking. Then you just ask it simple questions. They get back and forth judgment, then you could use Claude regularly. But generally, at any point, if you have a proprietary way of doing things, a framework, a process, you'd want to use skills. So let's open up Claude. I'll give you a walkthrough on how to create your first skill. All right, so once you open up Claude, the first thing you want to do to create skills is you need to open up the settings. And then when you go to settings, you want to go to capabilities right over here. And then capabilities, if you scroll down, you're gonna see the skills menu right over here. So you wanna scroll down. As you can see, I have some skills that I've created. You wanna scroll down and you wanna make sure you activate skill creator. Because what this is gonna do, this is gonna have Claude access to the skill of creating skills. So basically this is gonna create the skills or playbooks for you. Okay, so once you have this on, the next step, what you could do is click on the three dots here, click on try in chat. So, hey Claude, I just added the skill creator skill. Can you make something amazing with it? Let's test that out. So this is just testing out a skill. Let's see what it does. So now you can see the thinking that Claude is doing, thinking about creating a skill. So now it's reading the skill creator skill. And the cool thing about the skill is that you can ask Claude at any time, hey, can you create a skill for this thing? So if you ever find yourself working with Claude and you're making a lot of edits to an email or edits to a piece of content or whatever you're working on, and you figure out the correct way to do things, you could ask, hey Claude, can you turn this into a skill? And then Claude will automatically turn it into a skill for you. So now as you can see the thinking here, it's looking through my workspace, it's giving me some ideas on what skills I could create. So now it's giving me a suggestion, leverage audit skill. That sounds cool. Let's see what it does. So now it's going to go through some reference files in my project and let's see what happens. So as you can see here, now it's reading through the markdown file. So for skill design, so there's a skill on creating skills. So it's reading through that. So as you can see here, it's doing this, but it's not taking the context of the context window. So it's like as if I'm starting the chat almost fresh. Still, they're using some tokens here, but it's still working. Okay, let's see here. All right, I've got the full picture, solid framework for building skills. Now here's my thinking on what would be amazing for you specifically. You already have content creation skills. Boom, boom. You've been frustrated content to AI. Brand, voice, DNA extractor. I do like that. Analyze your existing content and extract specific patterns and make your voice unique. Sentence rhythms, train phrases, storytelling moves, vocabulary, creates reference file. Okay. Leverage audit framework. Okay. For your consulting work, takes a client through structured assessment of their operations. Looks cool. Content optimizer. Okay, looks cool. Okay, let's go with the brand voice. Let's create a skill for our brand voice DNA. Before you go ahead, can you let me know what source material or content you're going to use to create this? Let's see. I asked this question because I want to know what material we're going to be using. So YouTube scripts, so on. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask it to go through my Notion because I have this connection. I've disconnected to my Notion. So I have Notion connected to, I have Claude connected to my Notion. So I'm going to ask it to do that. Let's see what it does. Okay. So now Claude is going through my Notion and then let's see if it finds those emails. Okay, so now it seems like it's found my emails, my past 10 emails. Perfect. So as you can see here, Claude is acting as my agent. So I'm giving it instructions and it's able to take action on my behalf. It is able to reason, understand, and take action out of it. So this is an example of what an agent is. So a lot of people don't know what agent is, or when I first started, I didn't understand what AI agent is. But AI agent basically is when you ask AI to do something and it's able to understand your instructions, reason, and create a plan and then execute, which is what makes it agentic. It's able to make decisions and take action by itself, which is what Claude is doing over here. And because I've given Claude access to my Notion, is able to look into it and get stuff done. So as you can see, Claude has gotten 4 emails and needs 6 more. It is going to take a little bit of time, but let's see where it goes. Also, I'm asking Claude here to do this. I could have made this faster by just uploading the emails, but I wanted to show you guys how this would work. So I'll get right back to you guys once this is completed. Okay, so it just finished getting all the 10 emails. These are the last 10 emails I've written. And then I think it got a detailed YouTube script. I don't know why maybe it failed on the last 10th, but basically it's creating the skill now. But as you can see, it will take a little bit of time to create the skill. But imagine once I get the skill done, every single piece of content that AI writes, I could just, hey, can you apply this skill, or like my brand voice skill to it, and then it will go through the full skill, and then it will look at the text that AI written, and it will be able to transform it into something that sounds more like me. Okay, and then this could magnify in all types of content I create. YouTube scripts, emails, newsletters, content, anything that requires scripting or writing or planning can use this voice. So yeah, I'll be back again once this is done. All right, so we're back. So if you take a look here, done, here's what I built. So if you look at the skill folder, I don't know why this is not visible. 1 second. Okay, so I'm asking Claude to share the skill folder. This is why it's very important to understand how skills work, because sometimes Claude does make mistakes. So I'm asking it to create a proper YAML header, because even if you don't have the YAML header correctly, which is the name of the skill and then the description on what it does, Claude won't be able to detect it. So sometimes Claude makes mistakes. So that's why watching the first part of this video is really important, having an understanding how the skill architecture works. So over here, I'm asking it to update the skill with proper YAML header, and then I'm asking it to create the folder so I can show you the structure. So I'll be back once it's done. Okay, so it just finished creating the skill folder. It's called brand voice DNA. There's a skill.md file, which is the main skill with YAML header plus 6-layer analysis framework. And then it has references. And then it has my, my DNA in the markdown file. So this is the skill that we're going to be using. So I'm going to double check and ask it. If I use this skill on, let's say, content that AI wrote, will using this skill transform that content into content that sounds like me? Let's ask it. Okay, in the meantime, these are all the files here. So these are all the files within the folder. So this is the skill.md file. It's properly structured with a name and then a description. Double check it here. Yeah, name and then description. There we go. And then the next file is my brand voice DNA. So how my content is written with instructions, and then brand voice DNA output template, which, yeah, this is what Claude did. So ideally you'd want to go into this and actually read through this, make sure whatever is written on here is going to create the output. You want to test it out and then optimize the skill until it actually does what you want it to do. Okay, so it's no, this skill only extracts your voice patterns. It's an analysis tool that creates a DNA file. What you're describing would be a separate skill, something like voice transformer that takes AI written content, your brand voice DNA, outputs written content. Want me to build that as a companion skill? It would reference that. Okay, then why? Okay, then let's create all right, so I asked it to create a skill for my voice. So it collected all the emails and then it went ahead and created the skill. So it's called Rashid Voice. And we can see in the skill over here, if I pull it up, there's a name and then there's a description and then there's exactly how to do this. So how to apply my voice to email, social posts, scripts, landing pages, or any written content that should sound like Rashid, which is me. The skill is a voice source of truth that other content skills should reference. Okay, so that's that. And then there's like when to use, the purpose, and then other instructions over here. Then there's a voice DNA, which I think the skill.md file references. So when AI reads through this, it will know that to reference these files. So you could see over here the structure. There's a skill.md file, which is basically how Claude knows. Let's go back here. So how Claude knows when to use a skill. So I might even make it better by changing the name to brand voice or something. but as long as I use voice, it will know when to call this. So I could even add it in the description on more instructions whenever for keywords. So like whenever user asks for, write this in my voice, write an email in my voice, turn the social post to my voice, it will be able to use that skill. But I'm going to keep things simple for now. I'll go over that in a minute. So there's a skill and there's references, and within the skill, this skill should potentially reference the other skills that I have in my workspace, like so. So I have other skills and so on. So then I could use these references. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to download all. Yes, please. So we need to package it into a zip file. And then from the zip file, we'll be able to upload it if that doesn't work. Because previously it prompted me to add the skill and it worked, but this time it doesn't work. So this is how you do it. So open here. I could do is, so next thing I need to do is I need to open up settings. We go to capabilities. And then we go to upload skill, and then I could drag and drop. Let's see how it works. So I have this folder open. Let's drag it. Okay, so it needs to be in a zip. So I go to my downloads, zip file, drag it in, and let's see, hopefully this works. Boom, so it's uploaded. So now I could use this whenever. So let's say try in chat. And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open up a, let's do this. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up Gemini. I'm gonna ask it to write, can you write an email on the importance of learning how to use Claude Skills in your business and how it can save 20 hours of your time. So I'm gonna take whatever Gemini wrote and then paste it and then test out the skill. Again, like we're doing this live, it might turn out to be like horrible, but let's see. Okay, still loading. Just doing this as an example because there's a lot of like AI slop content. So if this actually works, no, I mean, oh man, this is the thing. Okay, this is live. Let me just give you a lesson here. I didn't prompt this really well. So I said write an email. So it's assuming they're sending this to a team. So ideally I should say, this is going to be like a daily newsletter email sent to my subscribers. Let's do that. But again, not that this can't be applied, not that my voice can be applied, but I want to do this as if I'm writing a daily email. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, you can see how this email is horrible. It's literally like AI slop. So let's see what it does. Boom. Let's see how it works. Okay, so what's going on here now? It's reading through that skill. Okay, so it's reading through the skill and it's going to apply the playbook to this email. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so now it's reading my voice DNA and email examples for full calibration. Interesting. I'm curious to see how this comes out. So what's going on here, it's doing progressive disclosure. So it's not loading everything at once. It's slowly progressing and seeing the context as it needs. This is great because instead of like wasting all the tokens, it's very smart about the tokens. Okay, this isn't bad. So it gave me subject options. You're wasting your $20 a month. Subject you call like a chat box. Build once, run indefinitely. You're paying $20 a month for Claude. How many hours has it actually saved you? If you're just opening a new chat, typing a prompt and hoping for the best, you're capping yourself. You're treating a digital employee like a search engine. The business owners who dominate late 2025 aren't prompting AI, they're building Claude skills. What's a skill? Think of a standard chat as a casual conversation. Think of skill as hiring an employee with a specific job description and a handbook. You tell Claude who to be, how to act, what tools to use. Once built, you never explain the context again, you just trigger it. That's leverage. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people are spending 2 hours every week re-explaining context to AI. Remember, I like short sentences. Don't forget to format the date as blah, blah, blah. Make it sound like me. Every time you do that, you're leaking time. Skills preserve context. They turn one-off task into one-click workflows. I built 3 skills last week. Here's what happened. See the pattern? Wow, this is really, actually, this is really good. Wow, holy moly, this is really good. I would actually use this. So this is an example of a skill, brand voice. And if you want that, you can get it for free. You can get the voice brand extractor for free below, which I just created on the fly. So yeah, that's how skills work in the web app. Let's dive into Claude CODE and how this would work, because not only you could use this on the web app, you can also use in Claude CODE, which is even more powerful. So let's dive into that. All right, so this is going to be the most technical part of the video. So if this feels a little bit too complicated, don't worry about it. I'm going to be recording other videos in the future explaining how I use Claude CODE. But basically, to explain, I'm using anti-gravity, and anti-gravity is basically this application that I could have Claude CODE access to my files. So I have files on my computer, and all of my skills, the skill folders, are all in my computer. So for example, if I open up my Claude file, you see agents, core, documentation, all these folders. I'm not going to go into it, but I have this folder called skills. Okay. And within these skills, I have all of these skills that I've prepared previously. So for example, if I pull up the YouTube strategy, I have the skill.md file. Let me show you how this looks like in a closer look. So you can see here we have the name, description, and you can see the description just has like many keywords. So whenever I use any of these keywords, I could catch that idea. And then I have workflows for this skill. So instead of having each of these separate as a skill, create title, I can have workflows act as mini skills. And whenever I use any of these keywords, AI understands that we need to use this playbook or the skill, which is YouTube strategy. And then if I'm more specific, it'll be able to understand these are the workflows that we need to use. So then we have the workflows over here, which is our other markdown files. And then there's scripts. There's no scripts in this one. Then there's references and so on. So for example, these are the types of video titles that I use. So that's just an example of a skill. So let's go back to our brand voice. And what I'm going to do is I have Claude CODE open. So this is Claude CODE for VS Code. You could install it with extensions. So I'm just using that. I could also use a terminal, but I prefer to use it this way. So you guys who are familiar with Claude CODE would know what's going on here. People that aren't familiar, don't worry about it. I'll have another video explaining this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this folder and I'm going to put it into here, and I'm going to tell it right now. So what I did was I extracted the zip folder and I moved it into my folder. So if you can see, it has Rashid/voice. I just implemented. So I'm going to ask it. I just imported Rashid Voice. It's a skill for writing content in my voice. Can we implement it and integrate it into our skills within .claude folder, please? And can we implement routing to our other skills? Okay, so what I'm asking here, because I have other skills that I use, I want to integrate the skill with my other skills, because I have skills for writing email in my Claude CODE. I have skills for writing YouTube script. So I'm asking Claude CODE to implement it within my workspace. Now, the reason why I prefer Claude CODE is because Claude CODE is when I can have agents, I can have skills, and I can have everything in one place where these skills can daisy chain and connect to each other. So for example, let's say I want to write an email. On my email skill, I can have a step of writing the email routed to my skill, which is Rashid Voice. Or if I write a YouTube script, I can have that skill routed to this playbook. So now everything is routed together, kind of like playbooks, so that when I ask AI agents or Claude, it has everything in one place. It has all the playbooks and it knows which playbooks to use. When on Claude Web App, it can do that, but it's just not as good as the Claude here. And the best thing about this is I can manually edit the skill folder. So if I go back to YouTube strategy, if I go to the skill.md, if I go on here, I know what's going on, right? I can go here, I can edit. So let's say I'm just put some random text to be like, yes, check, email is whatever. So I could directly edit the prompt on here, while on Claude Web App, you can't really edit it. Unless you download the markdown, you edit it, and then you package it again as a zip file, then you upload it again, it gets really messy. So that's why I like Claude Code. So as you can see here, it's gonna integrate it into my system. It read through the files. Now it's gonna move the skill to here. It's gonna integrate the email skill. It's gonna integrate with my social media skill, and it's gonna integrate with my YouTube strategy skill. So yeah, it's gonna go through all of this step by step. So I'll get back to you once it's done. Okay, so Claude Code just linked and routed all of my skills to my voice skill. So I'm gonna test it out. I'd like to write an email on the importance of using digital assets and developing digital assets within your business, which could be AI systems, Claude Skills, offer documents, your brand voice. All of the things that create your business is clearly documented into a digital asset. This could be a prompt, and how that allows your business to be more scalable. I'd like you to write this email using, just write the email. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I wrote that out, and I'm just asking it to write an email. So what should happen here is that it should go through the email skill, which is what I have open here. And if you look at the email skill, right here in the skill, I have read Rashid Voice skill. So it's routed to this. So if you could see, it's actually following my instructions, the AI agent. So I'll load your voice skill first, then write this email. So boom, like it's as if you're telling an intern or someone on your team to get something done. So AI agent's actually going to read the skill, and then it's going to write the email. Okay, so wrote the email. So your business lives in your head, and that's the problem. Every process, every offer, every system you've built over the years, it's all stored in your brain or scattered across random Google Docs and Notion pages nobody looks at. You used to be able to get away with this, but now AI can do 80 to 90% of the work in your business, but only if you get something to work with. No digital asset to equal AI is just a chatbot you talk to. Digital asset equal AI can do real work. Let me explain what I mean by digital asset. A digital asset is anything in your business that's documented early enough that someone else could use it to produce the same results you do. This includes your brand voice, blah, blah, blah. Most business owners have zero of these documents. They have ideas, they have experience, they have skills, but none of it is captured in a format that scales. This is not bad. Actually, this isn't bad. I might edit this. I might make some suggestions, but it is actually writing 80 to 90% in my brand voice. Now, what's even better is that this Claude Code is connected to my Notion database. So I can ask it to do that, to move it to my Notion database. Or I can ask it to turn this into context to other pieces of content pieces. No, I don't want to go over too much on this video because my next video will go over this, but let's just ask it, yes, I want you to save it to Notion email database. And I want you to turn this into a quote post. So it could quickly do that. But let's see what it does. So I have the skill. It went through the skill over here, social media workflows, create paragraph quote. So social media skill, it went through that. And now it's spawning you to save the email to Notion. Okay, so that agent's doing that. So I'm going to talk to our main agent now. I want paragraph looks good. Can you create it? It is, so now it's using the Notion API. It's going to find the database and then it's going to create that email for us. Okay, so it just added it to Notion. Now it's going to create the paragraph code carousel for us. So you could see it, how it would look like. Yes. So if I go to content, which is here, I have a content folder and I have one on quote posts. I go to digital assets, click on yes. Now I have a skill specifically for creating these posts. So now it's going to create the slide 1 and slide 2. So for slide 1, I have a skill for creating visual content that looks aesthetic. And then slide 2, I have a skill for creating a typography quote slide. So these are all skills that I've trained Claude CODE. I created a skill for, some of these are micro skills or workflows that they could use to then get work done for me that I wouldn't need to do it manually. Because if I were to do this manually, it would take time. So now it's creating this first slide. It's using Nano Banana Pro. And then it's going to create the second slide. Doing this live is going to be interesting how this comes out. So it took the prompt. So it even created the prompt to send it here. So now it's creating the visual. It's using the API that I gave it access to. Man, this is crazy, man. Like just me like thinking about this, like it would take me like at least 30 minutes to get this done. And this is getting done automatically. I could work on other stuff while the AI agents work. So this is how it looks like. So this is slide 1. So your business lives in your head. That is why it can't scale. So again, slide 1 and then slide 2. So let me zoom out here so you could read this. Actually, it doesn't look quite right, but we can always make edits to this. So this is just an example of how Claude CODE works. So slide 1, and then slide 2, obviously need to edit slide 2. I could then ask it, can we decrease the font size for slide 2 to make it fit, make the content, the text scale to fit, please. So that's that. That's just a quick walkthrough of how you could use, how skills work in Claude CODE. And by the way, if you're wondering how you could potentially use skills in your business, I created a quick cheat sheet or a table that you could quickly reference to get some inspiration on what skills you could use, including content creation, repurposing, marketing and sales assets, client management and operations, business analytics and reporting, and automation and systematization. That's also included with the Brand Voice DNA extractor. So if you want that, click the link in the description and you'll get both the 50 examples of how you use Claude Skills plus the free Brand Voice extractor. And the real powerful thing about skills is that it compounds. So think of it like a playbook chain. So if you have an agent and you have multiple skills that you want it to do, it is able to do that within Claude CODE. So let's say I have a skill A, which is I want it to help me create an output. Let's say this is an email. That's skill A. Skill B could be like transforming it. I could turn this into a social post. And then social C could be like publishing it, like a skill on how to publish it. And then skill D could be like going through your social media and then extracting the results on what happened to that specific post. So then this can create a feedback loop where you can have agents that run with skills that know how to do things just like how employees would work in your business. So this is super powerful because now you can have AI agents that are able to do actual work in your business, but the only thing that they depend on is having clear skills that you know how to teach them how to use that. So again, here are some other examples. So let's say you're a consultant, you have an intake form, you could turn that into a proposal, that could be turned on into onboarding emails, and then you can have reporting on how the onboarding went. Or let's say an agency, you get a brief from a client, that creates a deliverable, then it creates a review, then an invoice, like so on. So these skills can connect like daisy chains. You can have as many skills as you want. You can have them route between other skills. So this becomes very, very, very powerful. So if you just think about it, if you are spending 30 minutes doing a specific task and you get a skill to do that within 3 minutes, that's going to save you 2.5 hours a week. And then that adds up to 10 hours a month. And then if we extend that to a year, that's 120 hours a year. And that is equivalent to 3 work weeks. So imagine just implementing one skill will save you 3 work weeks. And that one skill can compound to more. So you can build more skills. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skills. So now we're reaching a point in business where you can pretty much have AI agents do 80 to 90% of the work in your business. So if you actually want that, subscribe to this channel and pay attention to my next videos, because I'm going to be sharing more insights on how you could get AI agents and digital assets to do majority of the work for you in your business and scale in 2026. See you in the next video.